Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. L'kutei Sichos, Chelek Aleph, Pashas Vaera, going through what does it mean, Yetzias Mitzrayim, in our lives. And so we're discussing how the way we got out of Mitzrayim was through the Makkos that really broke because the Yidden was suffering so much. Because it was such a difficult time. They couldn't even hear the good news. When they got told there's good news, they couldn't handle it. It didn't help them. And so what we need to do, we need to break the klippa of Mitzrayim so they could start hearing the good news and start realizing we're leaving this place. And so what happened with the Makkos. What do the Makkos mean spiritually? So we're talking about the Makkah, the first one we're talking about, and we're going to expand on that a little bit. The Makkah of Dam, which was the water, that they hit the water. Aaron hit the water. What does it mean? The water, what is coldness? Coldness, apathy. And there's in Kedusha, and there's also in Klippa. Meaning there's in Klippa, and there's also in Kedusha. That this apathy, this water, that stops us from being able to be successful. And it's a call us to Torah mitzvahs, and we talk about this. Never talks about this. And later on, I don't know if we're going to get to it, never talks about how one of the ways this coldness expresses itself, and this is a funny, but shows really something to how to think about it, is he says it's like something miraculous happens, and you say, what's the big deal? Why are you so excited? Why are you excited? Because as miraculous things happen. It's it's God. God can do everything. What's the big deal? Why make such a big deal out of it? And I think what that really shows on is realizing where it's coming from. Meaning it's true. That's why is that a problem? You're saying, hey, God's in charge. God can do everything. So any little miracle, meaninless. It's meaninless to God. So what's the big deal? But you're not saying. But the person that's saying this is apathetic. He's not saying it because they believe in God so much and God is so powerful, and they're like, man, God is amazing. Yeah, it's like something. They win the lottery and they're not all excited. Not because they're not excited, because God's everything, and their connection to Hashem is so great. That's something. But here we're saying the person's diminishing it and he's belittling it. So and I think one of the ways, I think a good example of how we do this, and I remember I used to do this as a bacher for sure. So I understand Chassidus a little bit. I did a lot. Is you say that's not it. You get excited. You say that's not real. It's not. It can't be because I'm not whatever. Insert whatever you want. I'm not Chassidish enough. I'm not sneers enough. I'm not holy enough. I'm not enough. This, and this is a clipper, a big clipper. So what happens? So when you have excited, you feel something. Like I remember, I said, when I had this shiloh, like I always watch Naglas in the morning. So let's say, one time I didn't watch Naglas something, and I felt uncomfortable in my hands. I'm like, why my hands felt uncomfortable? So I was like, so I didn't watch Naglas. So I said to myself, is that because I'm just so accustomed to watching Nagavasa that I feel it? Or is that because I'm connected a little bit, and spiritually I'm feeling this disconnect, and like I'm feeling the tumor of the water, whatever, of the lack of washing hands. So what I say to myself? Because we have this clip us, and now what are you talking about? You feel something? How can you feel something? You do all these averas, good enough, you're into any iskafia. Yeah, for sure. Now, even though they could be in reality true, it's the formulation of it, and this is sort of the point we're seeing here. The coldness, the apathy, the clipper that we're trying to get rid of, is not that necessarily says wrong things, but it's the way it says it. It's like to use another bad example, but it's like someone that's like dating. I've had this a lot. I spoke to a guy about dating, and he asked me questions. Ask, how does she look? Women have the same things that aren't that important, but they make it very important. What's his job? And so I said to him, like, Like, out of all questions ask me, why ask me that question? And I was a little bit like, I was taken aback by it. And he was a guy that was quote unquote Chassidish, learns my Marim, and told me he learned to Marim like 60 times. And I'm like, this is your question? So he goes, yeah. Like I'm not going to beat around the bush. This is my Yitzhara. This is my, yeah, okay, so I'm a grubber young, but this is what it is. And I was so shocked. Because he's not wrong. And we all have our things that we're not good at, but we don't accept it. The point is we're embarrassed of it and we don't even publicize it. Here, he was accepting it. He's like, I'm accepting the fact that I have this issue and I have nothing wrong with it. It's like, whatever it is. And it's a wrong attitude. And this is what we're talking about here. This is the mind. We're going to add to this. So let's get into it a little bit. Ois Zayin. Bein ha-arba sugim. Bein ha-arba sugim. Demim tzemeh chai medaber. In regards to the 4 types of the world, we have 4 levels: is inanimate, animate, living, and speaking, us. So you have people, you have animals, you have plants, and you have inanimate like water or like rocks, things like that. The less life force, because in a rock there's a lot less life force than in a human being. So the more you go down and the more less life force you get, so too is this distance from godliness. The closer it is to godliness, the more life it has. Like we said before, yesterday we were talking about that. How do we that one of the things we did with the dam, with the water issue is the dam. Dam is kedam nefesh, is the soul, is liveliness, is chayus, it's all kedusha. So it's saying in the world that an inanimate, something that's inanimate has less godliness. Shekei nakadusha he chayus, because holiness is life. As we said before. So therefore, if you don't see liveliness in it, it means not much kedusha. So daim inanimate is the furthest away from holiness. And then comes the growing, the vegetative, and then you have the living, meaning the vegetative is a lot more. Plants growing is very something to notice, and you can watch, and it's very interesting. And why does it grow? Because it has more godliness in it. Whereas even more than that is an animal. The whole, you can have relationships and you have connections with them. You don't have connections or relationships with plants. Unless I don't think so. And then you have people. So and all this shows on the more elokus that's involved. In the 4 worlds, it's the same dynamic. You have Atzilus, B'Yitzir, and Asiyah. You have the lowest world, which is Asiyah, which is our world. We're like the inanimate objects. That's so bad that the evil overcomes is powerful. This is like the inanimates, and so too the higher you go, they synonymize different levels. So Bria, so Yitzira would be the plants, and Bria would be animals, and Atzilus would be humans. That's what we're saying. So now back to what we're talking about, the water and the blood. So the water and the blood is synonymous with the coldness and the warmth that's in the dim. Like blood is like warm and light, like we said before, is warm liveliness, whereas water is coldness and the opposite of that. So even though in general we're saying water would be inanimate, water doesn't grow, so water is inanimate, and that's a lot left life force. And the higher you go until you get to, let's say, an animal, there's a lot more life force. But nevertheless, even the animal that has more life force, which has more warmth, also has this kriros, this coldness. Move on, sheked, misamlim biyichud, it's a kriros. So it also has this coldness. That come from the water. You have animals that come from the water, like frogs. We're going to talk about. So frogs come from the water, so the frogs have this coldness to them. One of the 10 makkos we find is with the frogs. And the sherets, like the creepy crawly of, like, sherets, like those, creepy crawly animals of the river is frogs. Kugabrias hadagim is like the creation of fish in the 6th day creation. Frogs are like part of it in the water. That's why Dea Chaya Bagamim Ubenharis. Frogs grow in swamps and rivers. The Gemara Medrash and Gemara Medrash talks about Mesuper Shikishem Hakrav Tzarich Laver. I know when you akrav a type of little animal, I forgot what it's called now. Akrav. Just slipped my mind. Scorpion. Yeah, thank you. A scorpion. When that akrav wants to cross the river, what does it do? It's organized for him a frog. And he jumps on the frog, and the frog takes him across. Vaera, and he moves it across, takes a scorpion across the river. Hakrav to the scorpion, Misamel Afhu Betivoi Es Eitzemakurus. The scorpion also shows on coldness. Ela shebechol zeis anu b'chinas mayim einu b'chinas mayim shehem hanigud hagamer la'ish. So even though the scorpion is also cold, like the frog, but it's not to the extent of the frog, which is coming from the water, which the water is the total opposite of fire. And therefore can't swim in the water, can't live in the water, scorpion. Whereas the frog, it's creation of the water, meaning its whole life is in the water. The total opposite of fire. Again, so we're saying the fire is the life and the passion, and it's excited, and fire is good, and the opposite extreme is the water. And so in the plague, we're discussing the plagues of Ruchnis, in the plagues, we also have, besides the plague of water and dam, which is what we're talking about, trying to transform ourselves, also you have in the frog. And the frog is very similar to the water and has a similar aspect of coldness. Even the scorpion, which also has the union of coldness, it's not to the same extent. Like we see, that doesn't even live in the water, can't even be in the water. For order to get across the river, needs a frog. The frog is in the water, so the frog is really bad. So let's see. So do we find with the frogs that they came. So what's so special about the frogs coming into even into the ovens? So the rabbis teach us what a Mesiras Nefesh that the frogs had. They even went into the ovens. Imagine jumping into a hot oven, and these are frogs. So what happened? Hashem commands the frogs, hey, you have to go to all parts of Mitzrayim. They even go, so they have Mesiras Nefesh, say everywhere, literally everywhere, even in the ovens. We need to understand this a little bit. In the other makkahs with the kin and the lice, nothing. They didn't say anything about them going into the ovens. Such an extent of Mesiras Nefesh they didn't have. They didn't need to. So what happened with the frogs? They decided they're going to go all the way in. So if you have muzbar le'el, it's when before move on a davar. Kan his galus Mesiras Nefesh betachlis min hakatzel hakatzem hazarim bay min hamayim b'sheretz hayor limroitz zeis nichnas l'tonei shel eish. So we're learning it out in the negative. They went into the fire, meaning the frogs, which are the opposite of fire, of the passion of the life. They went even to the oven, which the oven synonymizes heat, warmth, life. And the frogs went to such an extent to even go into those things, even to the level of Mesiras Nefesh, to pull you down. And that's what we're saying. And tomorrow we're going to finish it up and explain it, but that's what we're saying here, that they went to such an extent to have Mesiras Nefesh to pull you down. Now, like we said, listen, in the beginning of the class, we're going to continue talking about this. That shows that to pull you down, it's that putting down good things that you do. It's not really that good. not really chassidish. No, I'm not that sneers. I'm not that frum. And we don't say it, we don't say it to pull us up. And this is a general important point. And Chassidus talks about this a lot in different areas, that we have to be very careful the way we speak to ourselves. And even though you learn a lot of Chassidus, you learn Maimarim, and you hear stories of Chassidim back in the day, they were very rough with themselves, and they said all these negative things about themselves. I can't talk for everybody, but the general, if we understand it properly, they weren't doing it in a way of putting themselves down. They held themselves at high esteem, themselves at a good place. And so they have to be some bitush. They have to sort of tell as it is. But it wasn't chas v'shalom in any way, shape, or form taking them away from serving Hashem b'simcha and doing things properly. And it didn't detract from Torah mitzvahs. If any way, anything we're going to say could be the most truest thing in the world about ourselves. If it's going to detract us, take us away from doing Torah mitzvahs and serving Hashem b'simcha, it's not coming from the right place. And this is a very important action we have to ever have. And this is sort of what we're talking about here. This coldness, everything pulls us down. You think you're good enough to daven? It's like they say, what is a chassid? A person that eats pork Yom Kippur and davens by Vaera the next day. So of course, that's not means what a chassid, but it means that he has the ability to realize that just because yesterday I was so bad, or yesterday I had a bad day, did the wrong things, doesn't mean today I have to also do that. The apathy says, no, who do you think you are to do such good things? You think you're good enough? How can you say me to marry someone so chassidish, or me to go to 770 and daven, or me to whatever X, Y, and Z put it in? It's not for me. It's not me. I'm being a faker. As one time I was in many years ago, I was actually married. I was in Eretz Yisrael with my wife, and I went to Vaera in Mainot, and the rabbi over there, he was saying everyone should be a faker. Be a faker. And what did he mean? And he explained, he's like, you want to do those things and you say you're not good enough or you're not shaykh for you, so good, do it. Don't hold yourself back. So you're going to think you're a faker, so be the faker. It's good. Be a fake and get up on time. It's very important. I think an important message we're taking out of here, and everyone needs to go, but a very important message, we have to be very, very careful the way we speak to ourselves, about ourselves, to ourselves, and to other people for sure, but even more to ourselves. Anything negative, we have to ask ourselves, is this leading to something good? It's going to lead me to do more or less? Leading me more connected, leading me to be happier and serving Hashem b'simcha. And that's the limit. If it is, you're going to hate, let's say it. If it's not, it could be the truest thing. It's not there. It's not, now's not the time. It's not going to help me in any way. And that's missing the point. Mitzvah Hashem, we should all have good self-talk, and we should lead us to good things and to move on to bigger and better things. And we should have an amazing day. Have a great day, everybody.